With the crypto markets having a pullback over the last few weeks and XLM having a correction as well, there's talks about XLM having a crash as big as the crash it had in 2018. In today's video, I'm going to go over XLM and my price targets for it over the next few months here, whether I think we're going to get a bigger crash in XLM or whether I think we're going to stop and hold and take off from here. So hit that like button and let's jump into it. All right, we're going to jump into XLM here and talk about what's happened with it over the past few weeks. I did a video on it recently, and I covered some things on it back then and told you whether I think it was a good buy or not at the time. We're going to talk about that in this video. We're going to talk about the possibility of a bigger crash here, one of the likes that it had back in 2018. So let's take a look at it here. So jumping into the charts here at number 20 is Stellar XLM. It has been climbing up the charts, but you can see it has had a pullback over the last few weeks here with its price now at 34, almost 35 cents as of this recording. So we'll take a look at the momentum here over the last few months. You can see back in October we were down in the 9 to 10 cent range here, and then we shot all the way up to a little over 60 cents here, and we've slowly had a big pullback, almost a 50% correction from this high here. We're going to take a look at the chart and show you what I think is going to happen. So if we jump into the daily chart here with XLM, you can see currently just under 35 cents as of this recording. We were all the way up here to 64 cents, and I did a video on this recently. I'm going to show you some things in that video that I talked about that were very relevant to what's going on here because I warned people about jumping into this thing back then. So we're going to take a measurement here and see what kind of pullback we've had. So basically, if we take this here and we go all the way down to this wick, we wick down here, you're talking about a 50% correction here. Now, that is pretty big pullback. They're talking about a possibility of a further pullback with XLM up to potentially an 85% correction. I'm going to show you that here in just a minute, why they think that might be a possibility, and I'll tell you whether I think that's going to happen or not, but obviously no one has a crystal ball, but you know, this is a pretty significant pullback that it's had here already. We had this wick down and then a big rejection off from that, a lot of buying pressure here. So we take a look at the weekly chart here and zoom out over the last couple bull runs here. During the last bull run, it did get up to like 70 some cents here, almost 80 cents at the peak, just for a very short period of time. And then the previous bull run in 2017 and into 2018 here, we got all the way up to around 93 cents with XLM, and then we had a big correction here in 2018. So they're saying this pullback here was almost 85% correction. If we take a measurement on that, just see kind of how much of a correction that really was. It's about a 67% pullback to the 20-week EMA, but if we go all the way down to the bottom here, you know, that was like a 83% correction. So I'm going to play a little clip from my video from a few weeks ago when I talked about XLM, and it was around 50 some cents here. I'll take a look at this and just show you what my thoughts were at the time and why I put this video out a few weeks ago about this. So we take a look at the chart with XLM. You can see it was just pretty much in this 10-15 cent range here for a while, and also we get some news about crypto and ISO 222 tokens that's really positive, and you can see it just absolutely skyrocketed here over the last 2 weeks, making an absolute crazy move here. It did like a 7x, so really strong move with XLM. Now, would I buy XLM right now? I would hold off on it personally, because when coins make a move like this, there's usually a correction that follows this, so you need to be careful jumping into it. I think long term it could potentially do better than this in this bull run for sure, but you want to be careful buying any coins that have pumped like this. Don't chase the pumps, because the pumps, they've already happened. So if you jump into it now and it has like a 40% correction, then you're going to be at a loss for a while before this thing takes off again, which could be months from now. We don't know how high it's going to go, but just be careful jumping into it. That's the main reason why I'm doing a video on this, is to kind of warn people not to chase green candles, because when you chase green candles, you're going to get burned, and be careful at this bull run. So I put that warning out there about jumping into XLM. I'm going to show you the comments on my video that I got from that warning, because people were telling me that I was stupid, saying that, you know, it could have a pullback. We'll take a look at some of the comments here, and I'm not trying to point out anyone in particular here, but I just want people to realize that when we do have these big pumps, you really need to be careful. And I had people saying, I heard Stellar's going to $1 soon, and then you had people here saying it already corrected. In my opinion, someone replied to that, yep, and then they're saying here, just had a correction, and so on. Well, 64 cents down to 50 some cents is not a correction in crypto, ladies and gentlemen. That is nothing at all. Corrections are 30 to 40 40, 50% or more in crypto. So you really have to keep that in mind, especially when you get those astronomical pumps like XLM had recently. This person here said XRP is going to $5 and XLM is following. Go long now. It is not dropping 50%. Well, let's take a look at the chart here. So we'll take a measurement of this here, and like I said, this was like a 50% correction on this, and people thought that a 50% correction was absolutely ridiculous. That's why I tell you guys, be careful when you get these huge moves, especially on these big caps, because a pullback is likely going to follow. So this article here talks about XLM price could soon be on the verge of the biggest crash since 2021 if the Bollinger Bands pattern is validated. So if we read this here, it's saying last Sunday, they reported that XRP is about to take a nosedive. It will be the worst crash since 2018 when it lost 85% in 3 months. This time does not seem to be as dangerous for XRP, but there might be more damage than initially thought, as XLM token is on the same path for its price. So they're basically saying here that they think that XLM could potentially have up to an 85% correction. And they're saying here, according to the Bollinger Bands, after a big surge in the last few weeks, the price of XRP hit a ceiling at the upper band, and now it is more likely to drop back to the median. They're saying for XLM, it's a similar story. The upper band high was reached and even broken at 63 cents, while the median represented by the 20-day moving average is stretching at 21 cents. A similar thing happened in 2021. Back then, the price of XLM reached a high of 79 cents and then dropped by 48% in just 1 week. Well, we've had a 50% correction, now an 80 to 85% correction. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. Let's measure if it were to reach the 21 cent range here. So if they're talking about here is this 20 week moving average or 20-day moving average on the weekly chart, basically that's around 21 cents currently. Now, if we were to measure a correction like that, which I don't think it's gonna pull back that far. You know, you're talking 66% pullback. Now, this average is going to keep moving up here. So if it were to meet it somewhere around the 30-cent range maybe, then you're talking about a 53% pullback or something like that if it were to meet somewhere up in this range. And if it were to get to like the 25-cent range and meet it there, you know, you're talking about a 60% pullback. So, you know, it's already had a 50% pullback. A 60% pullback is not too much of a difference. But in my opinion, this is in a better buying range right now than it was a few weeks ago. I think we could get a little bit of a further pullback on it in the next few weeks potentially, but if Bitcoin turns around and starts getting bullish again, this could flip and start making a bull flag here and get ready to take off, you know, for new highs on this one. So if we were to measure a bull flag from its current price here, basically what you do is you take a measurement from the bottom to the top of the flagpole here, and you're just going to measure that out, and that's going to be this measurement. And then you would place that basically on this line here, and that's going to put its price target right around approximately around 90 cents. Now, if we get a further pullback and then we take off from there, maybe it would only reach 85 cents. But you can see the potential of it here of making a next move for a new high for this cycle for XLM coming. It's starting to make a pretty big bull flag pattern here, in my opinion. And once Bitcoin gets its momentum going and we get an alt season, I think XLM is going to absolutely scream and rip to new all-time highs potentially this cycle. So just wanted to get that out there for you guys to let you know my thoughts on XLM. My price targets on it this bull run are probably going to be well over $1, potentially up to $2 with this one. Just kind of my thoughts on it. Some people think that it's going to get to the $3 to $5 range or better than that. My price target, like I said, I think is going to be somewhere in the $2 to $3 range potentially with it, but I do think that it is going to make a new all-time high, likely here potentially before the summer of 2025 in the upcoming months, potentially by March if we get a big alt season by March. So we'll see what happens here over the course of the next few months. The market's looking, you know, pretty red right now, and a lot of people are getting scared that we're not going to get a bull run. I think we're still going to get a bull run. I think that, you know, people are scared because the Fed is talking about reducing its interest rate cuts in 2025 from 4 cuts down to just 2, and potentially maybe less than that. We'll have to see what happens, but they're really waiting for the Trump presidency to see how the economy is doing and how the jobs market is doing before they make the decision on that. Basically, they're more worried about inflation creeping up than anything, and that is going to justify what kind of rate cuts we get into 2025, which is going to affect quantitative easing, which potentially puts more funds into the crypto market and riskier assets once we get more quantitative easing. So if we don't get that big quantitative easing like we were expecting, we may not get as big of a bull run as we had hoped, but we'll see. I think it's still going to do pretty well. Overall, we'll just have to see what happens over the course of the next several months here. But, you know, if we look at the Trump presidency from the previous cycle, back in 2017, 2018, we didn't take off until the end of 2017, which, if you compare it to this cycle, would be like just starting to take take off at the end of 2025 and having a pretty flat year for the whole year of 2025. Hopefully that isn't the case. We'll have to see what happens, but we had a lot fewer people in crypto back in 2017 and 2018, so it wasn't as well known, not even closely as well known. Now we've got mainstream cryptos like Bitcoin and Ethereum and all the ETFs that are coming into play with those, and new ETFs coming, potentially some ETFs for XRP and other ISO 222 tokens that could get approved up here, and potentially one for XLM if that follows suit. So we'll see what happens, but just want to get that out there to you guys and let you know my thoughts on it. I think it's probably okay to start dollar cost averaging into this one. Doesn't mean we won't get a further pullback on it, but I think a 50% correction is a nice healthy correction for XLM, and I think it's going to potentially take off to new all-time highs this cycle. So if you're looking to add some to your portfolio, do your own research, do your own due diligence, and take a look at it. Maybe something that you want to do. It's not financial advice at all. I personally don't have any XLM in my portfolio, but I do want to cover it and let you guys know my thoughts on it, because it is one of those cryptos that I think is going to do really well this bull run. I already have my bags packed for this bull run, and I don't have a lot of funds to add new coins to my portfolio. And I think the coins that I do have are still going to perform really well, especially once we get artificial intelligence and gaming bull run going here, and I should do just fine with the coins that I already have. But for those of you out there who have XLM, I just want to get a video out there for you and cover it and give you my thoughts on it. And obviously I'm not an expert by any means, just some guy out here giving random information about crypto and just going basically off from what my experiences are in crypto over the last couple cycles here. So just be careful out there and don't chase the green pumps. That's the main thing I want to get out to you guys. But that's all I've got for this video, guys. I really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel, hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and we'll see you on the next video.